why don't you talk about the run defense? I mean, you all now through 3 games have really stuffed the run, and this was the first team that really had a powerful rushing attack. This was a major challenge you had against East Carolina, and you were up to it. What can you talk about the run defense?
I think we have just a really good interior with Biscuit, Busick, and Clay, and then we got a lot of supporting cast in that. So the linebackers are doing a really good job filling gaps. Nick Straw is doing a really good job keeping the edge towards the boundary. And then we're doing a lot of things up front just to get those guys open. But like you said, I feel like the run game has been a strong suit for us. Definitely these last 3 games.
Can you kind of talk about how the defensive linemen are unsung heroes in the run game? I mean, Clay Cromwell may not show up on the stat sheet with a lot of tackles, but I think what he and Biscuit are doing up there in the interior, taking on blockers, is pretty important. Can you kind of break down why that is?
Definitely, them just doing their job and going to their gap with the assigned call is freeing up a lot of other blitzers when we're blitzing, and then they're allowing others to be freed up, make plays when they're taking on 2 to 3 blocks, especially Clay and Biscuit working inside in the interior, which is kind of messier. It allows players like myself or the linebackers to kind of scrape over in wide open gaps, which is nice.
How much of the success against the run has been scheme? I mean, are you all doing some things that maybe are confusing the offensive line or just the offense in general, and they're thinking holes should be here and they're not because of a run blitz, or you're changing gaps or something like that?
There's tendencies, I'd say, depending on where the back is and then where the field is, and we kind of scheme up on those things occasionally, but I feel like we took a lot of what we did from last year against ECU and what they hit us on, and we were just better this year with it. So it kind of played out in our favor this year.
Thanks.
Yep.
One quick note based on Wags' questioning: Navy enters Saturday 5th in the nation in run defense, Air Force #1 in rush offense. Kareem.
Hey, good morning, John. Thanks for squeezing us in.
Yep.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
That's the first thing I just wanted to ask about. What did that win just in general mean for you guys to not only, to kind of get over that hump, but also in the manner of which you guys were able to kind of get it done on the road and overtime, all that kind of stuff?
I feel like that was a very Navy-esque win. Having a close game like that and just be able to grit it out. But I felt, an immense amount of happiness just for the guys. We worked, our tail off all summer, and, we weren't reaping those benefits necessarily, but we were able to pull it out, and that meant a lot to us.
Is it tough, and how good of a job do you feel you guys did of staying in a good mental space? Because like you just said, you guys bust your tail all summer long, and then when you don't get the results that you're hoping to look for, it can get, that can weigh on you. But it seemed like you guys didn't let that.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of places, maybe 0-2 would be like a death sentence on certain football programs, but I felt like we took it, eagerly. We knew that we were a lot better than, I guess, we started out. We knew that we could have won both games on both sides of the ball. So just having that mindset coming in this game and, playing with that confidence. And we did exactly that.
And I just want to ask about Daniel Davies real quick. How cool is it to kind of see somebody kind of take advantage of their moment like that?
Super cool. I mean, he's my roommate too, so it goes a lot deeper. But I was super excited for him. I was probably the happiest guy besides him. Just interacting with him, being next to him every day, watching movies with him at night. So just to see him seize that opportunity was huge, and I'm super excited for Dan and what's in store for the rest of the season for him.
Just a quickie, as his teammate, what was it like after the game and once you guys got back for him?
Obviously we threw him up in the locker room as we said, like our fight song, and we were super excited in the locker room about pouring water on him, treating him like the hero he was for that game, and just super excited for Dan.
Perfect. Appreciate you.
Yep.
Bill Bergman.
John, Navy Air Force, what is so special about this rivalry to you?
Probably just that history aspect to it. We played Air Force for so long. Um, and they've always been very close, tough games. You're getting a great opponent out of them. Just like Army with other service academies, it's a physical game, which I appreciate a lot. And this is a different, unique type of football, which is different today.
And just following up on that, service academy against service academy, how special is this for you that, the people on the other side of the field are also in a service academy?
Yeah, I have an immense amount of respect for Air Force and Army and all the other service academies, especially that, I know the grind it is to be a student athlete at a service academy, and be able to play football and then also be able to go to school, put in all these credit hours, all these long days. So a lot of respect for them, a lot of respect for what they're doing after. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it is a football game and we serve a higher purpose, after we graduate from these schools, but a lot of respect goes to them.
You beat Air Force your freshman year. Everyone stormed the field. What do you remember from that experience? And what was that, 2019?
I kind of remember Malcolm on the walk off, just kind of like pitching it off, and I thought that was pretty cool. With the storming off on the field, that was an unreal experience. Hopefully, we get that back going up to there. Maybe not to the same effect because it's not their home place, but I just remember a lot of happy faces, and I want to bring that back to the brigade. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll go back around. Wags.
Hey, John, going back to what Mr. Straussmeyer was saying about Air Force being whatever, fourth in the nation rushing, Mr. Strauss?
Air Force is number one.
Number one. Right. Well, I'm looking at this past week's game against Nevada. They had 461 yards in the ground. Brad Roberts, the fullback's been around a while. He had over 100-yard rushing. One of the wingbacks, John Lee Eldridge III, had over 100 yards rushing, and two other guys scored touchdowns. So we'll talk about the challenge you're facing of trying to slow down this Air Force rushing attack.
They're versatile, as you mentioned. Well, they got a really good run game, and we know that coming in. Their service academy team, they're going to be a hard, heavy run first team, and our goal is ultimately just to stop that before they can get going. But we'll scheme it up this week, and we'll get ready for that. But yet again, they're a heavy run team, just like Army, and it'll be, if we want to win that game, we're gonna have to be the ones to stop it.
What's the key to stopping it?
I don't necessarily know. I mean, today's Monday, so we'll have a long week, be able to scheme up some certain things, probably look into tendencies, see where we can exploit certain things. But as of right now, I mean, number one is going to be stop the run game in whatever way we seem fit.
And can you talk about how Air Force's, version of option football is a little different than Navy's? I mean, I think that they're known for sending guys in motion, a lot of eye candy, try to get your eyes out of position of where they should be, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they got a lot more spread stuff, so they spread out the wide receivers a lot more. I guess, if you want to call it a modern kind of triple option with the spin, like you mentioned, a lot of eye candy, trying to get you in the wrong place at the wrong time so they can hit you in certain gaps and like over rotations and whatnot. We're just gonna have to be disciplined this week, super disciplined.
Thanks.
Kareem.
One quickie for me. Curious, how important is the experience of getting a road win last week? How does that carry over, going forward, especially this week? Was it important to get one of those under your belt?
I think any win's important, but a road win just, I think, solidifies a little bit more than maybe a home win would have. If we would have just had a home win and not this road win, because it's kind of harder to go into a place, in my opinion, especially a place down like Greenville, and just come out with the victory like that in double overtime shows like a lot of guys on our team that not only we can do it, but we can do it in very difficult circumstances. So I think that's huge for building Whereas home would have been cool, but I don't think it would have had the same effect necessarily.
Quick and easy for me. Thank you.
Phil,
Yeah, John, kind of following up on that, going back to last season, the teams had a lot of road success recently, other than the Notre Dame game. And Scott, what is it, 4 in a row the teams won?
4 out of 5, we went away from Navy Marine Corps.
What clicks about these road games you think for this team?
I think Coach Niumatalolo mentioned it a little bit. I think maybe it's the getting away from the academy, be more relaxed, be able to play football, stuff like that. You got long line weeks here, but I think maybe it's just a mentality thing. Like we want to come there and we want to win, and that's not the mentality that we don't have when we play at home. I mean, we're not trying to lose when we're at home, but I think we just come with a very eager mindset that we're going to get this win in enemy territory.
It's talked a lot by outsiders about the altitude in Colorado. Did you notice that when you were out there playing, or is this more of an overhyped thing to you?
I wasn't going to self-diagnose myself and say I couldn't breathe when I was up there my sophomore year. It gets tough at the beginning, but I felt like I got fairly acclimated to it pretty well. So I think it's more of the ball will be sailing out of the end zone on the kickoff, but I feel like that's pretty much all it's good for.
Thank you.
Anyone have anything else for John? Go ahead, Wags.
Well, John, the last 2 times you've gone out to Colorado Springs, Air Force has put it on you guys pretty good. And I know you weren't there, whatever the first time, you've only done one of these, but is that something that you guys understand, that the last 2 times you've gone out there, it's been very lopsided?
Yeah, that's obviously been in the back of our mind, and we know that Air Force has got us these past couple of years too. And no matter what the spread of the game was, we're still disappointed if we're losing to Air Force. So we used it as motivation, obviously, but we're not going to dwell on it and think negatively, because the last 2 times we come out here have kind of been blunders. We're just going to play our brand of football.
And it's very odd start time, 10 a.m. Mountain Time out there in Colorado Springs. I don't think you probably played a 10 a.m. game since you were in youth football. And you're coming off playing.
It's 12 o'clock Navy body time, though, Wags. Get the right mindset.
Well, you played 3:30 game in Annapolis, and then you played 6 o'clock in Greenville. So this is a big change.
Yeah, I prefer earlier games. I'm always up fairly early here, so and I love playing early when I was a kid. So 10 a.m.'s perfectly fine for me. I don't have any discretion on when I want to get up and play football. So I think the guys feel the same, and we'll have a lot of energy flowing through us because just this game. So I'm excited.
I want to ask about Davies. I was reading Rag's piece, and he was talking about the decision was kind of made Thursday. Can you take me through, I guess the lead up to deciding to to go with him and put him in that position on Saturday in the first place?
Well, obviously we're trying to replace an all-conference kicker, so they've been kicking for a while. So we didn't learn to really right close to before the Delaware game that, Bijan wasn't going. So we had to make a quick decision there. We went with Devin. But then after that, it kind of became a kickoff, how they're doing. And, it was kind of an ongoing process. Nobody clearly won the battle. So, it went on through this past week. And I just relied on Coach Ukaitis. There are a couple of days I went there and I thought Evan kicked better. And a couple of days I went there, I thought Dan kicked better. And so, Coach Ukaitis had it all charted out and what he thought. And he was the one who came to me. His gut feelings, he wants to go Dan. And great decision. It was a great decision. I was really well.
What's it say about the kid to, be in the program all this time and never getting the opportunity, and then, taking advantage of it like he did in a big moment?
Well, the Creamer thing, I think it just embodies who we are, just resilient, tough young man. He's been all in. He's never complained about not kicking or punting or doing the kickoff duties. He's always coming to work every day. He's a senior. he's bought into the brotherhood, and you couldn't be more happy for a kid like that, because he's what we embodied our program: selfless, all about the team, and happy that he was able to go out and contribute that way. Just happy for him.
And just the last one for me, finally getting in that win column. What did that mean for you guys in the program as a whole?
It was a huge win for us, to go beat East Carolina on the road at their place in a hostile environment. They got a really good team. They actually should have came into the game undefeated. They had some other missed kicks, and so very proud of our young man. That was a tough, hard-fought win. They had a really good quarterback, really good team, and just proud of our guys. Just shows the resolve of our guys, and I kind of knew that, though. I knew we wouldn't go anywhere. I know people were down on whatever, but Navy football, we're gonna keep fighting to them. We ain't going anywhere.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks,
Pete, Matt
Green.
Hurst.
Kenny, 10 throws from Ty on Saturday night. It's a skill set that he has. Is that something that if you see him get into a good rhythm like that early, that you might continue to try and utilize with him?
Well, yeah, we're an option team, and obviously we run the football first and foremost predominantly. But they were so aggressive, East Carolina. They were just playing so aggressive. So, we couldn't block them all. And so it's just a lot of it is by nature of the way East Carolina was playing. Obviously, Ty can throw the football. We have some good receivers, but it's not who we are. But the game, the way the game was going, it dictated that.
The fact that you got in that type of game, you guys pretty much went, unbalanced and really played, physical, had to play physical football. The more physical team was going to win that type of game. Can you kind of talk about what you looked at from the offensive line when you guys went back and looked at it, just the execution that you thought you got, especially at key times in this game?
Well, I just thought, we got a plethora of looks from them. Playing them is similar to playing against our own defense, just so many different looks. And so you have to know what you're doing. You have to be sound on your rules. And I thought our O-line, for the most part, held up. Now, obviously, there's some times that, they were also, zipping and zapping. And sometimes we had some assignment errors. But for the most part, I thought our guys fared okay, against that type of pressure, Pete.
Kellen also pressed into duty, ends up being the holder, and then ends up being your punter in that game. I noticed Riley's first kick was kind of an end-over-end type kick. Did he get hurt on that kick, or was he nursing something before that? And thoughts on the way Kellen stepped in, obviously, and really punted the ball well for you?
Again, it was one of those deals. I guess he had kind of been nursing it, but we didn't know it was that bad. But again, Riley, like Bijan, those guys have big legs, and to lose them was, to lose Riley was huge. But I thought, like you said, Pete, I thought Kelly kicked the ball really, really well. I think we have really, two really good punters. Just Riley, he's got a huge leg, but, Kellen proved on Saturday too that he can kick the ball really well too, or punt the ball.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pete.
For those that just joined us, we're just going through the list. You get 3 questions each. First time through, if you could introduce yourself and your media entity, that would be appreciated. Let's go to Bill Wagner.
Bill Wagner with the Baltimore Sun and Capital Gazette newspapers. So what is the status of Riley? Well, let me start off with this. I didn't think Bijan was going to be out this long. I've been seeing him kick in preseason, and I figured it was just I didn't think it was an injury that was going to keep him out this long. Is this going to be longer than expected?
I don't know, Wags. We'll it's day to day. We'll see how he feels today, and he'll go through his protocol. And we're hopeful, but I don't know.
On that front, I guess after we made 3 field goals, including the game winner, it wouldn't. I don't know if Bijan was available, whether you'd make a change at this point. How do you manage that situation? You have an all-conference type kicker, a team captain, but Now all of a sudden you found a guy who just won a game for you.
Yeah, I mean, if Bijan could come back and he was totally healthy, we'd go with Bijan. But if Bijan kind of comes, yeah, I'm not 100% because I might be able to do this, then we'd probably still go with Dan.
And then on to Air Force, obviously a very high-powered offense. They're averaging something like 42 points per game so far. A lot of weapons. What can you talk about the Air Force offense and what you're going to see? Well, just Air Force in general.
Just impressed, super impressed. They got a veteran team. They know what they're doing. Mike and Troy do a really good job on offense. They know exactly who they are. They've been together for a long time. So schematically, they know who they are and what they're trying to get done. And it's not a surprise. Just seeing Coach Noor take over the defense. I mean, they haven't missed a beat from last year. Might have some subtle changes here and there, but they're playing really well. But really impressed playing, watching them. But I guess I'm not surprised. I mean, Air Force is Air Force. They're always a good team. You know what I mean? So it's not like, oh wow, Air Force is good. I mean, they're always good.
Okay, I'll come back around later.
Bill Bergman.
Coach, you've been in this rivalry a long time. What are so special about these Service Academy rivalry games?
A lot of similarities in the type of kids, just fighters, man. They got fighters, we got fighters. We're not going to go anywhere. It's going to be a slugfest. I mean, it always is. I mean, it always, last year kind of got out of hand towards the end, but for a while it was 7-3 late in the third quarter. I mean, it was a slugfest last year. You know what I mean? We couldn't move the ball. They couldn't move the ball. Had some special teams things, kind of changed some things around, but they're always slugfest. They're always, and I think the thing that makes this game special, like you said, is just the type of young men on both squads. We know a lot of guys in their roster because, we try to recruit them. Great kids, really good football players. And I think that's what makes just likeness of the type of young men to serve.
Touching on an earlier question, the team's right now ranks number 2 in the nation in passing yards per completion with more than 25 yards per pass. How pleased are you in the throwing offense so far this year from your team?
Okay. We got high standards here in offense, man. This isn't our offense, man. We're not happy at all on the offensive side of the ball. And so, like I said, we've been together a long time here on offense. I'm the head coach, but I'm on the offensive side of the ball. And so we're not happy with how we're playing on offense. We know our standard and we got to get to that point. And so if there's some bright spots, that's great, but we're in no position to pat ourselves on the back for anything. We got to keep going.
And lastly, having Chuck Peterson on staff with all his experience at Air Force over the years, how beneficial is that to you and your program?
I've loved having Chuck Peterson on our staff, not just as a coach, but as a person. He has such great wisdom. He's been a head coach. Obviously, he was a coordinator for many years at Air Force. Been a Division I coach. Been a high school head coach. Just brings a wealth of knowledge. I mean, I really, really appreciated, the serenity of who he is. Brings a lot of knowledge both on and off the field. But I love Chuck Peterson, and he's been awesome to have on our staff.
Thank you.
Scott Wyckoff. You're muted, Scott.
Hey, Coach. Scott Wyckoff at WBAL Radio in Baltimore. What does this rivalry mean in the respect of the Commander in Chief's trophy? How important is it to get that trophy back?
It's everything, man. This game is everything. As long as I've been here, I mean, this game has been everything, is getting that trophy. I mean, it's, being at Navy and, I always talk about being Army, which I get. But for us, I mean, being in Air Force is the first leg of it. And you can't get the Commander-in-Chief trophy unless you beat Air Force. Like I said, I've been playing them a long time. Not all my years at Hawaii, we're in the WAC. And, and then going to UNLV, it's like I've been at 3 different schools, and every school I played Air Force. Can't get away from those guys. But as far as being at the Naval Academy, this game is everything. This game, maybe some fans might, put on a different part, but being here this long, I know how important this game is. We know, everybody in our program understands the significance of the Air Force game. We don't, there's like, oh yeah, the Air Force second fiddle. Or no, this game is everything for us.
In that time that you've coached over your career against Air Force, what's it that's in their DNA over that time that's impressed you the most?
They've just been so consistent, man. Just so consistent. Just impressive over the years. Just, they might have some little variations of what they do offensively, but it's still the core, still the same. A little variation on what they do on defense. But year in and year out, from the years that I've gone against them, from Fisher to Troy, I mean, they've just been such a consistent program year in and year out. And that's hard to do, man. It's hard to win. It's hard to win on a consistent basis. And I don't know really how the fans up there treat, Coach Calhoun or whatever, but man, what that guy's done over the years, following a legend like Fisher, it's been amazing what he's done.
What, if anything, can you and your staff do to prepare the players for the altitude in Colorado Springs?
Really nothing. You just gotta go there and it's every year we try something, like I said, we're going against them, we try this, try that, try to just try the best you can. And when we have some pretty good teams, we beat them. And actually we've had some good teams and lost to them up there too. So that's part of it. It's a factor, but we have to play well, the biggest part of it. And but it's, forget the altitude. It's hard enough to beat Air Force anywhere, and just, they're a good team, but we just got to get ready for them, the football team, Scott.
Thanks, Coach.
Brent Brigham.
Yeah, Brent Brigham with the Colorado Springs Gazette. Ken, the pendulum has shifted pretty heavily toward defense in the academy games. Army, Navy, Air Force, and both of them. Why do you think that is lately? Because I have obviously seen some shootouts between these teams as well.
Yeah, great observation. I just think, so when we go against each other in the spring, so we go against our defense. So we do our stuff. I'm sure Air Force obviously goes against their offense and West Point against their offense. So we're the only 3 schools that obviously get to see it all the spring practice. Then you get to see it in camp. I just think, probably the familiarity, going against option football. I think that's the biggest part of it. And, the coaches have been around for a while too, so we kind of know each other. The older players that end up playing in the game, they've been in it a few times. It's hard. There won't be any secrets. Everybody will have a trick play, and we get each other on certain trick plays here and that, but that's not what wins the game. And there's no secrets to what they like to do, what we like to do, and like I said, it more than anything, Brandon, it just becomes a slugfest. Seems like the last couple of years, it's kind of come down some pass plays too, to kind of open things up, because it's hard to run football against each other, because we're all Air Force is familiar with what we do, and we're familiar with what they do. It's tough to rush the football, and normally the team obviously that runs the ball better is the team that's going to win, but they're normally not huge numbers, just because of the amount of possessions. And we're both, very familiar with each other.
And then as you evaluate yourself, in the off season, and you've seen the results in these games, is there really anything you can do, or do you just have to stick with who you are and is it just a matter of execution, or are there some schematic wrinkles that you have to add?
Every year, all of us do different things, whether it's drastic changes or subtle changes, and it works. You're like, woohoo, what a great move in off season. It doesn't work. I'll get back to the drawing board. So, Brent, that's every year, man. All of us try stuff because they come, the Air Force is doing this year. Some years we come out, we have different things. Sometimes the different things work, sometimes they don't. But, because we know we're going to play each other every year, because we know the magnitude of the game, all of us try little wrinkles, but you can't vary too much from who you are. You can't change things that much. So there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of chess match going on, and there's a lot of off-season things that you look at. But yeah, we look at ourselves all off-season. We look at them. We look at West Point. We look at the games. We look at the games from all these years going back. How can we improve? What does Coach Nor like to do? What does Thiessen like to do? And you just try to do your best to go forward and have the best plan you can. Like I said, I've been in playing them for so long, and sometimes you're like, that was a great game plan, and sometimes like, that wasn't so good. We got to throw it away. So you just try the best you can.
Yeah. And then as you look at the personnel Air Force has, does anybody, I mean, obviously Brad Roberts has big numbers. Does anybody stand out as a different kind of skill set than they've had, or is all kind of within the same mold?
Well, I've just been impressed with their cohesion and how they play. And like you said, Brad Roberts, he's a really good player. I think Daniels has been a really steady Eddie, really good football player. In years past, we asked a lot of our quarterback as far as the run game. And Daniels does in their office what's required. Like I said, over the years, we've asked our guy to carry the ball 25 times. And normally they don't try to do that. But when he does, he's a threat. He knows how to run their offense, can throw the football. Really big up front. I've been impressed with the way they play up front. Cormier, their wide receiver, he's impressive. We know who he is. We try to recruit him. We lost him to Air Force, so we'd love to have had him. But big, physical, can run. But they're playing really well right now. Playing with a lot of confidence and playing really, really well right now. And on defense, they lost some of the guys that that they had before. Obviously, Jordan's gone. But even the Herrera kid that they had, I think he's a really good football player. But they have some of the guys have been, Mock's been there. Been impressed with some of the new kids that I haven't seen as much. But to me, it's a testament, Brent, to their program. Because they come with different guys like, who's that guy? Or who's this kid? And it's just the development of their players over the years. They do a really good job of doing that. But super impressive team, man. And fortunately, had to watch, the Nevada game this past week, and then they got after them.
All right. Thanks. Safe travels.
Thanks, Brent.
Christopher Adams.
Yeah, hey, Coach. Christopher Adams from AmeriForce Media. I just have a question. Obviously coming off the big win Saturday, how is that going to impact your psyche or the team psyche or their mindset going into the game with Air Force? I mean, do you see it, having that positive impact? Obviously, it was quite a game. So,
yeah, I think it's definitely going to help us. It just reinforces that we can do this. It gives our kids confidence. We recognize that Air Force is going to be a really good football team, but East Carolina was a really, really good team. Like I said, they should be undefeated. They have, I think NC State is ranked number 12 right now. They should have beat NC State. They missed the extra point in the field goal, and they lost by a point. So that was a good football team that we beat on the road. It's given our kids confidence, but we also recognize who we're playing. We're playing a really good team we're very, very familiar with, and we know that this is going to be a battle.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Chris.
Greg Swatek.
Hey, Coach. I got one off the beaten path for you. Joe Battaglia is now coaching football at Concordia Prep in Baltimore and doing a really nice job. They won their conference championship last year. And I was just wondering if you could comment on Joe as a coach and as a person.
Joe Battaglia is as good as they come. A really smart football coach, very knowledgeable, a great person. It does not surprise me that he's doing well. He added a lot of value to our program while he was here. Very humble, was behind the scenes a lot and did whatever he was required or he was able to do. But just a wealth of football knowledge and a really good person. And the success that he's having is not surprising. He's a heck of a ball coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna make another pass around. Let's go with 2 questions this time, if you have 2. Kareem.
Kareem Copeland from Washington Post. I don't know if I need to say that again. But quick, you've touched on the offense, on the Air Force offense a couple times, and you're talking about their consistency and how you guys know each other so well. But I'm curious, can you detail a little bit what makes their version a little bit unique to themselves?
From a run standpoint, schematically, they don't have a ton of different schemes, but a ton of different formations, and they use a lot different personnel grouping. You know what I mean? So they do a lot of different. They do a really good job of what they do. They do elite. You know what I mean? They just what they do. They're very very good at, and you can tell the kids are well coached. They know exactly what they're doing. There's not any hesitancy, from their lineman blocking to the people downfield blocking on the perimeter and their backs running the ball. They have a great grasp of what they're doing. I think that's a testament to their coaches and teachers, type of players they have. So I think that makes it unique to them. And they're hard to defend because they hit you in so many places. If you try to defend the perimeter, obviously going to kill you with Roberts. And you try to pack the box and do certain things that get you on the edge. And if you got too many people sticking their nose up in there, they'll throw it over your head. And so just like a triple option team, they spread you out from the standpoint they hit you in different spots of the field. And it may not look like much, but then you look up and it's 2nd and 4 or 2nd and 5. Kind of stuff that, we would like to try to emulate. Probably don't run as much true, pure triple option as much anymore. But I don't know if they have much anyway, but they do a really good job with the amount of options that they do run. Again, they know what they're doing. Like I said, Mike Thiessen is as good a football coach as there is. To be honest with you, I mean, I'm surprised he's still there. He's a really, really good ball coach. And they've been really good on offense for a long time. And I know Troy's on the offensive side of the ball too, and he's a great offensive mind. But schematically, they have really good package that fits in. It all fits in what they're trying to get accomplished, and they know what they're doing. So if they see you doing this, and you try to take away this, then they'll attack you here. If you try to take away that, they attack you there. And so it's a very systematic way of putting you to sleep, so to speak. They're like really jiu-jitsu guys. If you do this, then they'll choke you over here. If you do that, they'll get you in a leg lock. I mean, they're really systematic in what they do.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wags.
Well, obviously, Coach, the last time you won at Colorado Springs was 2012. That was Keenan Reynolds' freshman season. And the last 2 times out there, they've gotten after you. What do you have to do to kind of turn around and get one out there in Falcon Stadium?
Actually, I think the last 3 times we've gone out there, they've gone after us. So really, in Keenan's junior year, I mean, I thought we did well in the first half, and couldn't do anything in the second half. We had chances to get ourselves a lead where we didn't. I know we just got to prepare the best we can. I mean, none of these kids know those teams. You know what I mean, Wags? So you try to take in all of the knowledge that you got from playing there, playing them, but it only pertains to these kids and these players. And I'm grateful that we're coming off a win. Give our kids some confidence, going in and playing a really good football team, having just beat a good football team, and we'll prepare the best we can and see what happens.
Anton Hall left the game the other night, did not return. Anything on his status? And I thought Anton ran the ball well. That was probably his best game.
Anton's probable. I mean, I'd be surprised if he didn't play.
And can you comment on how he ran that the other night?
Yeah, I thought he played well, Wags. I mean, we've always known he's a talented young man, and so it's just super explosive, very shifty. I mean, you saw the run, that he had against Memphis. If you can run away from the Memphis guys, you can run. I mean, and so, but a talented young man from South Florida who's got, I mean, we got it for 3 more years. The guy's going to be here a long time. So the future is bright with him. He's got to continue to work on some things, obviously, but really excited for Anton. Really excited the way he bounced back too in this game.
Got about 5 minutes left. Brent Brigham.
Only other question I have is John Lee Eldridge, the new tailback, seems to cut back and change direction a lot better than any Air Force tailback I've seen. What wrinkle does that present defending? Because I know watching Air Force play defense, guys who can change direction are just a little bit of a different animal for them to handle. Does that do anything to you?
No, most definitely, because everything in defense is gap sound, so you're trying to cancel gaps, and also you're on the pitches, you're trying to run, trying to contain the ball and force it to bring your alley players. And if you're overrunning this guy, you're running so fast to get to things, and if you don't overrun it, I mean, he'll cut back and again, he's a guy too that takes it to the house too. I mean, he's been an impressive guy watching him, but because normally guys are just trying to beat you to the alley, so you're just trying to get there and try to beat them there. But a guy that can put his foot in the ground and go the other way, that makes it tough because you got to take proper angles, make sure you got great leverage as you pursue the ball. But guys like him force you to do that, and those are hard backs to defend.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Brent.
3.5 left. Scott Wyckoff.
How impressive were Vincent's catches on Saturday, and what does that mean to have the ability to have a slot back like him to make catches like that?
Well, we've seen that. I mean, he did that last spring. Had the big catch against Memphis. But again, for him to he had a tough catch against East Carolina in traffic, but then he caught that other ball and ran away from them. So again, shows you who he is. If you can run away from East Carolina guys, you can roll. So we've known that about him. It just adds another dimension having him, and Mikhail, who knows, a breakaway threat. So having both of them is good for Navy football.